As we speak right now, over 95% of the comrades are very happy. Things are in their account, especially the freshers and the sophomore. They have really suffered under the issue of university funding. There is a few who have not been financed, but I'm sure that within no time they will be financed. So in that case, I wanted to talk about university funding. From when I first heard of it up to now. Earlier than that, during the Kibaki's time when he was a student in the university, I don't know what used to happen. So I just want to talk about the evolution of university funding from the 70s to today. In the 70s, it used to be known as boom, and it is now known as HELB. Boom started in the 70s, and I want to share with you, especially the younger ones, about its evolution. But first of all, let me address the issue of advanced level. We had something that is called A levels. A levels was Form 5 and Form 6s. I have decided to place there the story of A levels, the story of Form 5 and Form 6. How is it evolves? It evolved and it disappeared. In the CBC, advanced level is coming back in form of what they call senior school. Junior school is going to replace the secondary school, and senior school is going to replace the A level or the high school. In the 70s, we had 4 universities in East Africa. In fact, the universities were specialized. The universities were specialized to an extent that, for example, anybody in the 70s who studied law went to Dar es Salaam University. And for example, anybody in the 70s who studied architecture went to the University of Nairobi, and etc. and etc. Then the government started advanced level colleges. Yes, you heard me proper. They were colleges, such that you complete your school in the secondary school, then you go to the college for the advanced level college. Those advanced colleges, just to mention a few, there was Kenyatta College, which evolved and later became Kenyatta University College, and later on it became Kenyatta University. Kenyatta College was started because, as I've recorded last year in a video on this channel, is that when the British went away, Jomo Kenyatta discovered that the military camp was too big for the small military. So he cut the military camp into 2. One part of it continued being Kahawa Barracks or Kahawa Garrison, and the other one became Kenyatta College. We also had Siriba College, which later became Siriba Diplomat TTC, and now it is part of Maseno University. During those days, advanced level was free. The diet was better than the diet was better than that one of secondary school, and there was freedom. You are in a boarding school, After afternoon classes, you change into your civilian, you go to walk around. You are just an adult like anybody else. Then people started, secondary schools knew that having students, from 1 to Form 4, they were paying fees. And from 1 to Form 4, paying fees, there is a problem with fees. You delay, parents delay, students are chased and whatever. But having advanced level students, there were no fees to be paid. The government used to pay for the students in Form 5 and Form 6 or in the advanced level. So secondary schools started their Form 5 and Form 6 wings. They started Form 5 and Form 6 wings. And that is when schools started changing their names. That is when the schools started changing their names, such that the schools which ended up at Form 4 continued being called secondary school. But the schools which had Form 5 and Form 6 on top, all the Form 1 to Form 6 were called high school. That is why I want to give two examples. Olkejuado Secondary School in Kajiado changed its name from Olkejuado Secondary School and it became Olkejuado High School. Bungoma Secondary School changed its name to Bungoma High School. That is how the A level started. So it continued, and so many schools wanted to have A levels that the government stopped paying fees for the A levels. And by the time I joined A level, already students were now paying for school fees, just like Form 1 to Form 4. And that is why when you are in Form 5, you would find that you're in the same school, but Form 5s were being given things such as something that used to be called academic tea. Academic, remember, starts with an A, which means that it was only meant for A levels. So at around 10 a.m. and at around 4 p.m., Form 5 and 6 would go and get a cup of tea. But then some schools, they use that opportunity to pretend that they were not segregating anybody, so that the school administration, in this case, the headmaster, would decided not to give Form 5 and Form 6 tea, academic tea, and pocket the money that was to be there. By that time, Kenya had only two universities. Kenya had only two universities. One university was the University of Nairobi. First of all, before I continue, Nairobi, the University of Nairobi used to be a polytechnic. It used to be a polytechnic. So when it used to be called Royal Technical College, it used to be called RTG, Royal Technical College. When it was upgraded to be a constituent university of East Africa. East Africa used to be one university with campuses in Dar es Salaam and Nairobi, but the main campus where people are graduating used to be in Makerere. So when the government converted Royal Technical College into a campus of the University of East Africa and later became Nairobi University, they took when they decided to do that, then University of Nairobi is at one end of the road, one end of Government Road. Nowadays it's called Moi Avenue. And the other end of the road is where they brought up the new Nairobi Polytechnic, Kenya Polytechnic, not Nairobi. When they brought in the Kenya Polytechnic, they took it to the other end of the road. That is where you now find the Technical University of Kenya. That is what it was. In the 70s, the country used to tap the cream de cream of A levels. When you go to the best in the A levels, they used to be taken to Nairobi University. So those in the 70s who went to developed countries were either from the rich families, or there could be an arambe for the student to be taken there. There is no way the government would have allowed in the 70s somebody with there were principles A's, yeah. Somebody with 3 principal A, the government would not allow such a person to go and study abroad. So people with people like, or by level of 2 principles, principle E, yeah, those are the people who could go to foreign universities. But the worst of it was those who went to India. Even during our time, we used to look down upon those people who went to the university in India. I'm told Waititu went to India. So you can follow under those that these are the people who did their Form 6 but could not even be taken to American universities, but who went to Indian university. So as I told you, there was only one public university, University of Nairobi, and there was one private university, Baraton. Is it in Kapsabet or Eldoret? Baraton University used to be a private university, and it used to teach religious programs. So you find that the cream of the cream, in order to attract in the best students, for them to join Form 5, Form 6, they used to go. I told you of the privileges that Form 6s had, like academic tea and so on and so forth. That one I've said. Now joining the university, one was given free accommodation. Yes, you are given hostels. You used to be given hostels where you used to sleep freely. I know of somebody who was in Nairobi University, and he had a brother wa mjengo, somebody anafanya kazi ya mjengo. So this one wa mjengo hakuwa na nini. The one for mjengo could not afford a house, so they used to stay in the room of this one, and they used even to go to the dining room and eat together. So this one was staying in a room for his brother, eating where the brother is, and going for mjengo. So the accommodation was free, the food was free, and on top of that, the students used to be given 3,000 shillings as boom per academic year. This boom was a grant and not a loan. What is the difference between a grant and a loan? Actually, there are 3. There is the grant, there is a loan, and there is aid. Aid is money you're given free. Nobody will ever ask you for refund. Grant is an amount where you are given. Grant is an amount that you are given, and you will, irrespective of whether you'll pay in bits or anything, but you will refund the same amount. During our time, for those of my age mates who went to the university, during our time, the university was 3 years, but 844, it's 4 years. CBC, it's going back to 3 years. So if you are given 3,000, first year, second year, 3,000, third year, 3,000, that is 9,000. At a time when a police constable's salary was 500 shillings. Now 3,000, I think that is a year salary for a police constable. Now, if whoever knows the salary of a police constable now can calculate. And then they used to call it boom. So I say the boom was a grant, not a loan. And I've explained what a grant is and what a loan is and what an aid is. There was no strict pursuing of defaulters, just like today. Unlike today. Today, if you look for a job, you have to get several clearances, isn't it? Including clearance from HELB. If you want to be employed anywhere else, they say we want. So no, nowadays when you have when you have graduated, you try to clear the HELB, whatever. But those years, some didn't given a hoot once uh, he or she has graduated. Once a student has been given boom, he or she would do the normal shopping, soap, toothpaste, so and so. They would go for exercise books, textbook, hmm, and so on. After buying that, you see you have a room. The remaining amount would be used for to buy a radio cassette, the bigger the better, and then have a bash. For those who used to take alcohol, that was now the time to indulge yourself in excessive drinking for so many days. That is why in those days, when they reopened the universities, the first week they never went to classes. The lecturers knew that very few would attend. Those who don't take alcohol are the ones who would attend. And you know, you have already bought your soap, you have bought your textbooks for that exercise books, you have bought toothpaste, you have bought detergent, you have bought eh? What do you need money for? So in the late 80s and early 90s, things started changing. Late 80s and early 90s, things started changing. First and foremost, the supply of graduates was overtaking the demand. Remember, the government, let's say, for example, in a year, they want 300, they want 200 graduates. Let's say each year the government wants, or the market wants 200 graduates. And the university is supplying 150. So you'd find all the graduates would be absorbed, isn't it? But then, when it came to 1990s, late 80s and early 90s, the universities started, okay, let me say, yeah, the universities, because they now became many, the university now started, let's say, the market wants 20, and they were supplying 30, more than the excess. So there was need now. No, no, first of all, there is the government could not afford. You see, those days when students in the university were fewer, the government could pay for their fees and whatever. Now there are more, and demands for graduates is becoming less and less. So the government felt that they should have this thing called cost sharing, so that it now turns to an extent that even the students or their parents and guardians should now start financing for the students' education. So that is when the government started having problems, whereby they could now have problems in paying everything for all the students. Then cases of strikes changed. You find that in the 70s and the 60s, strikes were, like March. Every March there used to be a strike in commemoration of the day J.M. Karaoke was killed. Every March. And then there is a time, so it was more political during those days. But then, and then a detention without trial. Such are the things which were used to be in the 60s and 70s. But in the 80s and 90s, it changed. The topic of the diet now started changing from blackouts. Then it also changed to situation like diet. Let's say they are supposed to have chapati and chapati once or twice a week. They're supposed to have chicken maybe once and twice a week. Then they found that the number of times chapatis was appearing, the number of certain privileged foods was reducing drastically. So uh, they started striking over those things. And as I said, the number of students became more, but the universities did not construct more hostels for the students. So rooms started being stopped being given freely, and they started uh, paying for them. When the students started having problems, the university administration did not know that the students used to refer to chapati as dialogue. Now, chapatis used to be referred as dialogue because it is round. So it is like sitting at a round table. So they would be called, let us have a dialogue. They said, how can we have a dialogue, which is a discussion, without a dialogue, which is chapati? So those are things and that. And then the government used that opportunity, which was well granted, that in 1991, the universities changed now from food, which, those days food used. I've told you of the boy of Mjengo who used to stay with his brother and would just line up and eat with whatever. Then they changed the strategy in that they made it pay as you eat. Pay as you eat. If you come from a poor background, you can be having a very daily for the whole month. And if you come from a rich family, you could be having chicken daily, so that you pay according to what you eat. Uh, and that is how it started. And the students now stopped asking for dialogue. I said dialogue was chapati going around. And then Airbus, they used to call chicken Airbus. So that is how it came to be. As things stand, I would recommend to HELB not to give, I mean, I would recommend as things stand, I recommend to HELB to be giving students full loan. For example, a student joins the university. How much is fees from first year to whatever? If you can afford, pay for it. If you can't afford, take a loan from HELB. When you start working, you will pay for it. I know somebody will complain. In Kenya. You talk anything. In Kenya, you talk anything financial, people will always complain. But I can tell you, someone will complain that how comes, supposing a student is undertaking degrees such as architecture and medicine. Well, architecture and medicine, uh, they take more years. And if I recall very well, a Bachelor of Education goes for 300,000, laki tatu, but architecture and medicine goes for 500,000, nusu million. So that a student who is taking Bachelor of Education for 4 years, that is 1.2 million. But a student who is taking those other degree for 6 years, that is 3 million. But then what job group do they enter there? How much do they pay? They can afford that. Uh, free things are not there. So that is my small contribution to the topic of how education, transformed from boom to now HELB. Those days, it was a privilege being in the university, because since those days, I remember there's somebody who was called Japheth Mwania. Japheth Mwania, he later became a senior CID officer, and when he became a senior CID officer, he was transferred to the NYS, where he was the Director General. Japheth Mwania used to tell me, by then he was an inspector when I was doing my Form 6. He was an inspector of police. He was saying that his younger brother, who was in the university, would, whenever they went home, Mwania would be relied upon to give his brother pocket money and also give money to the parents. Yet the brother, after getting boom, was well and had a lot of money than him. There's a lot one can talk, and there is very little time to talk everything. Thank you.